Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Stay tuned for a short review on the Ecoflow Delta Mini, a power pack that we bought last summer. It'll be an honest review and hopefully it'll help you decide whether it's worth you buying one of these power packs. Stay tuned. Hi folks, over the last few months I've been exploring how we can improve the power in our van and how we can make it a bit more economical, don't rely on the gas so much, etc. We currently have a 100 watt solar panel, a 100 amp hour battery, we have refillable LPG gas which will run the fridge and the water heater and the heating and things like that. What I want to do is not have to rely on the gas as much as I mentioned earlier and utilise electric further. To this end I've got a few ideas. One is to increase the amount of solar we've got on the roof, and the other is perhaps to improve or increase how many batteries we've got. Now in the meantime we decided 6 months ago to buy an Ecoflow power pack, and that is something we've been using in the van, and I just wanted to do a short review on it to let you know how we've been getting on with it. By way of a disclaimer, we did actually pay for our Ecoflow Delta, which I'll tell you a bit more about in a minute. The retail price was £995. We got it on a day when there was £100 off it, a special offer day, and we also got a £50 Love to Shop voucher with it, so I suppose in effect it cost us £850. Now 6 months on, they have come down in price, as things do when they make them in bigger bulk and they become more popular. They're now $799. We chose Ecoflow because we'd done a little bit of research and they seemed to be the most popular at the time. Other makes are Bluetti, Jackery, there's a whole host of them, but we decided Ecoflow fitted our situation better. We have the 1400 watt version. It will go to 2200 watt temporarily, short term, to run bigger appliances. It's also 882 watt hours. Now I'll explain that and try and give some examples of what it'll run. It will pretty much run everything, but it's how long it'll actually run it for that your concern is about. One thing I did want to point out is where and how we install it in our van. It goes in the garage under our double bed on a shelf, and into the back of it I've fed the solar lead. I'll impose some shots and film over the top of this so you can see where. What we've then got is we've got a lead that runs round to our hookup inlet, so I can actually connect it into the hookup, and it's just the same as connecting to the mains posts on the campsites. So that does work quite well because all the 3-pin plugs around the van work. It's then also connected to the water heater and the heater and the fridge. So we quite like that use, and I'll, as you can see, there's a picture here of the lead that I've got. You can buy these leads already made up, or you can make them up yourself. It is a great way of using it. So to put in the usage into context, I'm going to give you some items that I've used on 240 volt AC on the Ecoflow and let you know how I've got on with that. I will put it up on the screen so you can see a little bit more easily and you can pause it and whatever. Now the first one, we've got a 1000 watt kettle. It has about 10 minutes use a day, I suppose, 2 or 3 boils, and in that time it uses 160 watt hours. Okay, now think it's 882 watt hours, so as you can imagine, that's roughly what, a fifth to a quarter of its use just used in 10 minutes of boiling the kettle. We've got a 1400 watt 8 litre whale water heater. Now if we use that for 10 minutes it'll generally fill up the tank, and that uses 233 watt hours. The wife's GHD hair straighteners, they're pretty good really. 10 minutes use, it uses 25 watt hours. Does use a little bit more. They're 150 watt GHDs, did I say that? But they take about 300 watts when they're warming up, so you know they are quite economical in the scheme of things. I did try the fridge. It's a bit difficult to estimate what the fridge uses on 240 volt, because as you know a fridge turns on and off, and it's probably only active for a third of the time as far as taking power is concerned. So we worked out for 6 hours use it was probably 300 watt hours. Now all those add up, so as you can imagine you can't use it that much. For 12 volt usage you're looking 70 watt pump, which you know our water pump is, I should imagine others are similar. 30 minutes usage, probably 35 watt hours. I also worked out 3 watt LED bulbs on for 2 hours is about 18 watt hours, and the 20 watt 9-inch TV, 180 minutes usage, that's 3 hours, about 60 watt hours. So as you can see it's pretty good for 12 volt items, but the 240 volt it does eat into it. So what you have got to take into account is how quickly you can charge it up. Now the ways you can charge it are the cigar lighter lead, which we've tried and isn't brilliant. You know, you need to be doing a pretty long journey, probably about an 8 or 9 hour journey to fully charge it up. If you just go in an hour down the road it won't put an awful lot into it. I won't go into the calculations of that, but please believe me when I say that it's not that great. The problem with cigar lighter leads as well, they're not a brilliant fit, so they can overheat, so I don't feel ever so happy using them. So you know, perhaps we ought to install some kind of voltage converter straight from the battery, or a B2B, something like that, in order to charge it better. Now solar is probably a good answer. We've only got 100 watts of solar, and I think our 100 watts would probably take a good 3 days in sunny conditions. So if we could manage 300 watts, just times in that by 3, it would probably charge up in a good sunny day with perhaps 5 or 6 hours. Again, I won't go into the technical calculations on that. If you're really interested, you could do your own calculations. It's a maximum of 290 watts of solar going into it. The other way to charge it, of course, is mains, but the whole point of having one of these things is you've got no access to mains. Now, if you do manage to get on hookup every few days, then it does only actually take about 3 hours to charge up. But as I say, you know, if you're going to be on hookup every 3 days, do you really need the thing? The other thing that's a little bit tricky about the AC is you do need to turn it on and off at the back of the unit. So if you have got the unit in quite an awkward place like we have, as you can see from this bit of footage I'm going to put up, it is quite awkward. You can use the app, but sometimes the app can be a little bit of a pain connecting it and that sort of thing. And what you do need to remember is when you switch the AC on, when you've finished using whatever it is you're using, the AC will still be drawing a certain amount. So if you forget to switch it off again, it could run your Ecoflow down. So that's just something to be aware of that we've noticed with the unit. So if you can have it a bit more accessible, that's probably the answer. So was it worth buying? I think so. The wife doesn't think so. She thinks we don't really get a lot out of it considering what it cost us. You know, the main worry or concern is getting it charged back up again, and the only logical way to me seems to be via solar or paying to have some kind of B2B fitted, whereas when you're moving about, it'll charge. But again, if you're on a bit of a tour and you're only wanting to do about an hour's drive in a day, is it actually going to charge that much? So the answer is having plenty of solar to charge it up again, and just being strategic with what you use it for. As you know, anything that's got a heating element is going to use it substantially, so it's maybe still sensible to use the gas for the water heater, maybe a few boils of the kettle, some of the 12-volt implements. If you've got a motorhome, you've pretty much got all these 12-volt sockets, you've got the 3-pin sockets. If you've just got a van that you've kitted out yourself, rather than going to the expense of putting all the electrics in, having one of these things might be really useful for you, because you can move it about. If the kids want to charge up their laptops, you can move it to where they're sat, that sort of thing. So would I buy one again? If I had, I would probably invest the money first in a decent amount of solar on the roof, and then after that I would then definitely consider getting one. But as you probably appreciated from what I said earlier, 6 months on and the thing's come down by £200. So in another 6 months, are they going to come down? They've been in America a lot longer than here, and they are cheaper over there. Whether that's something to do with the 110-volt technology, I don't know. I'm not electrically minded. I'm only giving this review from a layman's point of view. The kit does seem quite reliable. I've heard some tales about the firmware not updating or not doing what it's meant to do. I think probably because we don't use it that often, we don't have a lot of problems with it, but a lot of reviews I've read are American families who perhaps live in storm areas where the power goes out quite a lot and it does get a lot of use. So they really need it to be reliable and all the software updates to operate. I hope you've enjoyed this little review. It's only a short review. I don't think I mentioned earlier, ours is the Ecoflow Delta Mini. It's still a good size, and I don't think I mentioned the weight. It's 11 kilograms. Another thing to factor in, you know, if you're buying more solar panels to go on your roof, this thing 11 kilograms, you have got to be obviously aware of your weight in your van. So yes, I would have one if I had my time around again. I don't think I'd pay that much, and to summarise, like I mentioned earlier, I probably would have a bit more solar before I got it, if looking back in hindsight. Okay, thanks for watching, folks. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. It's free to do so. And thanks for the continued support. Bye for now.